Hello and welcome to this whiskey taste challenge, bourbon whiskey taste challenge. I was just doing it and my internet connection dropped on this Hangout. Don't know why. Might do it again. I'll just try to do it tomorrow if it does. I have Ezra Brooks and Evan Williams. They're both sour mash Kentucky straight bourbon whiskeys. Ezra Brooks has no age statement, so we know it's at least 4 years old. Evan Williams, this is a rare, hard to find green label. It's charcoal mellowed and it's aged 3 years. So this one is aged 3 years. I can find this green label in Louisiana and I've seen it in Kentucky. I've never seen it in any other state. So you might see it in your state, but kind of hard to find. And it's apparently these half-size bottles are no longer produced. Apparently, according to the website that they used to show, they reformatted their website. It's only sold in liter bottles. I know where to find, or did know where to find liter bottles. They probably still have some left, but I'm not going to go looking for it. Here's Ezra Brooks. This is an old bottle from 10 years ago. They no longer sell the 80 proof in the United States. This is produced today with a new, it's got a new label now. It's the modern label. It looks just like the 99 Ezra Brooks that you see at Walmart. Well, I get it at Walmart. But this is 80 proof. And the one that goes to Australia, even though it looks like the modern bottle, is only 80 proof. I paid $10.99 for this 750 milliliter bottle. And I paid $9.98 for two of these. So that makes 750 milliliters. So I paid $1 and a penny less for the Evan Williams. Now, when you look on these websites and all, and the bottle, the labels, they try to make it look like it's been on the market since 1783. Like, oh, since 1783. No, wrong. Sorry. 1957. Okay, they both hit the market in 1957. Now it's true that Beam, talking about Beam, they do go back to 1795, but the brand Jim Beam only goes back to 1938. Not even 90 years. So they play games, People play games, friends. James was saying, says so. Hello, James. What's up with you? Hey, they're both amber gold. So the appearance won't matter. I did a taste challenge yesterday with the first bourbon versus Ezra Brooks, and I got it wrong. Could not tell it apart. So I like Ezra Brooks. I think it has a good flavor. I'm not opposed to it. I can only speak on the 80 proof that I just started sipping on the last few weeks. I've never had the 99 proof or the 90, which I might be able to still find the 90, but I'm not in any kind of, I got so much bourbon in the other room. I don't need to be buying anymore. But I found it was good, but it was just kind of regular. You know what I mean? Just like, tastes like any other regular bourbon. Sort of like this one here. But this one has a little bit more sourdough bagel, I found. But will I be able to tell them apart? Like I said, I don't really have any confidence. I'd like to start off. I would hate to start off 0 wins, 2 losses, but I could tolerate 1-1. In fact, I could tolerate finishing this challenge series at 50-50 because I just think they're going to be very similar one to another. But here we go. I could show you the website for Ezra Brooks, but it's nothing to see but a list. It's just like literally a list of text. And it says export. All it says is product specifications. Evan Williams not anymore. They dropped that off their website. So now this doesn't exist. If you look at the Evan Williams website, this does not exist. But I know it exists because I bought it and I know where to find more of it. All right. Well, what am I saying? Look at the Jack Daniels website. All the beautiful bourbons they have, Tennessee whiskeys. You'll never see the number 7 green label. You won't see it, but it's made. I know where to find it, but I have to drive 3 hours to get it. Minimum 3 hours. Okay. Now, if I ever go back to that state, will I pick up a bottle? I might do it. Good old Jack Daniel's Green Label. Be kind of sad not to, but it's certainly not a necessity by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, sourdough bagel, corn, flour, charred oak, but very low char. A little vanilla, um, dried, that freeze dried fruit cake fruit in the Mylar bags. All the typical stuff. Same. I'm telling you, the same. I know this is Luxco, and I know this is Heaven Hill, but they smell the same. They look the same. They cost about the same. Now that could change store to store, though. You see, so you can't put much into that because I paid $1 more for Ezra Brooks, but I might go to the next store and it's $1 less. The next store is $1 more. Next door they're the same. They basically revolve around the same price. Taste time. Cheers. And I'm sorry the original broadcast failed, but if I'm on YouTube and their connection drops, my internet didn't go out. That was fine. The connection that they have drops. I can't control that. I just got to delete the video and try to do it again. Sometimes I have to wait a whole day. Like their system is really screwed up sometimes. And that's a big, huge company and they get incredible problems. A little bit of charred oak, sweet corn, candy corn like you give out at Halloween, medium body, dry finish. I'm thinking I might be the Evan Williams though, honestly. That's the third bottle I bought. Bought one bottle in Kentucky and two here. And I have had the 86 proof Black Label, the one that everybody gets. I bought that in Kentucky. They were cheap. They were like $3.99 a bottle or less, $3.49. I liked it. Was it sort of like Jack Daniels? Yeah, because that's pretty much what they're trying to mimic. So yeah, it was a lot like Jack Daniels. That's why the bottle design is that way. That's why the label is that way. That's why it's constructed that way. Doesn't really work though, because people still buy Jack Daniels. They're not fooled by these mimics. Although the mimics are good. Corn flour, the vanilla, the vanilla, the fruitcake fruit. But I think Evan Williams costs more than Jack in Los Angeles, maybe as much as Gentleman's Jack. No, you're putting this on. No way. I could do an internet search for that. No way Evan Williams costs him more than as much as Gentleman's Jack anywhere in the world. No, that's not legit. That's not a legit comment. All right. Maybe this one has a little bit more sherry note. A little bit more wine type. Well, sherry is wine. I got to go back to this one. This doesn't have that sherry note. They both have the sourdough bagel flavor. Now, a sherry note in bourbon to me is unusual, and I think Ez can't get it. I'm looking at it backward. I think Ezra Brooks is a little bit unusual of a brand. You know, it's not sold everywhere. It's sold most everywhere, but not everywhere. Whereas Evan Williams, you can get everywhere. Not the green label, but I think Ezra Brooks might have a little bit more of a non-standard flavor. But like I said, I got it wrong yesterday, so it just goes to show you. But I think the more standard flavor is going to be Evan Williams. Yeah, that's Ezra Brooks. Okay, so that's 0-2. Wow, this is scary. I think by the time I get the flavor pinned down, the series will be over. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic or flip or anything. I just think it's very difficult. And I was really thinking, I'm saying, oh yeah, that's a differentiation. But I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I'm not seeing a lot of live blind. I see a lot of comparison videos where people will take two bourbons or two Scotch whiskeys. Sometimes they'll take like 9 or 11. I don't know what that's supposed to prove. I tasted 11 Scotch whiskeys. Let me tell you what I think. I'm sure after tasting 11, you probably can't think. I mean, I'm saying to myself, you are in that much of a rush. You can't do 1-to-1 in a tournament. What is all of this? I watch these. I don't watch them. I'm like, what is all of this? Then they're like, I tried this, I tried that, 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 and then I tried this, and then I tried that. And I'm like, nah, you're so confused. There's no point to all those videos. You got to narrow it down. You got to get your channel under control. Which means you got to get yourself under control. Now, I'm not trying to be ugly, but it's like, what does that show? It shows nothing. There's no point to the video. The video is aloof to general sense, intelligence. I would like to advise these. I would do it for free. These people send you messages. Oh, I love your videos. You should be getting more views. If you contract with me, I will help you get your view count up 1,000%. I just delete that. But like literally, I would help them for free. And I see other channels where they make terrible mistakes. And then they'll complain like, I don't get enough views. Please, they're like begging people, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm like, well, why don't you send me money and I'll like, comment, and subscribe. We'll make a deal. You send me $10 a week and I will like, comment, and subscribe incessantly. But but then I'm watching the video channel and I'm like, well, no wonder you don't get any videos. You like offend half your audience. You just do stupid things that's irritating everybody. Cheers, Louisiana Whiskey Reviews. Do you think surge protectors are a good investment? Yes, I think so. All right, Tommy, give me a hard time, huh? Well, it is what it is. If I have the money, I may as well spend it on something. Evening, Ron, having some Montreal smoked meat tonight. You ever tried that? Joe Cobb, I never even heard of it. It's smoked brisket. Sounds like something I'd like. I had these chuck eye steaks that I bought Thursday. No, Wednesday. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Lose track. Last Wednesday, I bought chuck eye. It was huge. They were thick like this. I never heard of chuck eye. I don't know what chuck eye is. I thought it was like a movie about some scary doll. You know, I know that was bad. But but they were so cheap. You know, they were going off the next day. The next day, they had to dump it in the trash. Sell by the next day. I said, I'll buy it half price, $8.50 instead of like $17. So I didn't know what to do with a chuck eye. I don't know nothing about chuck eye, but I got that grill going. I got the heat. It was going strong, you know. And I made the two steaks two different ways. I did two different ways. And so the first way was good, but the second way it was able to set in the fridge for 2 days with the salt and the black pepper like insinuating itself into the meat. And so when I ate it Saturday, it was much better. But I found that was a good deal. You know, $4.25 for a huge thick steak, and it was tender, but not as tender as the prime rib that I had bought about 3 months ago. I bought the prime rib for very cheap, by the way. But I was able to take the knife and I did this one score. I just scored it once and it cut through it. And I was eating it and I had to chew it like 3 times. And it was like ground up. I said, oh, the most tender steak in the history of the world. So that was amazing. And I thought only restaurants could get prime rib. But this meat manager here, he said, no, we can get it. I said, okay, but I thought only restaurants could get prime. I thought grocery stores could get choice. He said, no. I don't know what connection they have, but it was very good, you know. All right, let's see. Joe Cobb said, is smoked brisket check? Oh, chuck is the shoulder of the cow, usually used for burgers, but you can also cut the prime parts for steak. Can be very good. It was very good. It wasn't excellent, but it's like you're saying, B plus, not A minus or A, but B plus. But I mean, look what I paid, you know. So John Mallory says, cheers, guys. Cheers to you. And it was a huge amount of meat. It was like too much. I was like laying on the couch after I ate. I was like, I'm so stuffed. I got a bottle of the Jack Daniel's Green Label. Haven't opened that bottle yet, says Tom. How does it compare to the old number 7? Well, in my opinion, I can't taste the difference. What should I expect when I open the Green Label? Just curious. From you, though. Well, I was not able to taste a difference. In the older days, not now, but in years ago, they used to have a frequently asked questions on Jack Daniel's website, and it said there was a section about what is the Green Label, and they said the Green Label was barrels that weren't in the right, maybe not necessarily in the best part of the rick house, and they were a little younger, but not under 4 years because they have to have an age statement. They don't have an age statement. So they're at least 4 years. But the impression I got from reading the frequently asked questions was that it was Jack Daniels that didn't quite come out right. Maybe not so great. So they bottle it and sell it at a slightly lower price. But then I have a friend in Texas, and he says to me on the phone. He said, "Isn't Jack Daniel's Green Label the regular Jack Daniel's?" I said, "What do you mean, Paul?" He said, "Well, that's the one you see everywhere you go. That's Jack Daniel's, the Green Label with the gold lettering, well, the white lettering, gold trim." I said, "Well, that's not the regular. That's the regular." He said, "Well, that's the regular here." So I said, "Well, in Louisiana, we only get the black label." And then my father, who used to drink much more than me, but he had to retire from it. But he says to me on the phone, he says, "Oh, yeah, we were going to a dance one night." This is like 1975, 50 years ago. He says, "They told me to buy bourbon." And believe me, he doesn't care what brand he buys because he doesn't care, But he said, I went to the liquor store in this town, I'm sure, meaning the grocery store, Louisiana, He said, "I told the girl, what's the bourbons you have?" "Oh, Jack Daniels." He said, "I saw a black label and a green label." This is my father talking. A black label, but this is 50 years ago. Black label and green label. He said, "What's cheaper?" She said, "The green label." He said, "Give me the green label." All right. I said, "What happened?" He said, "I brought it to the party, the dance at the school, to raise money." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Everybody drank it." No one had objections to it. I said, "Okay." So one guy drank too much, and then I don't know, something happened. I don't want to go into the details, but it's well, yeah. Anyway, but his attitude when I talked to him on the phone, he said, "Don't they still make that regular?" I said, "They do, but it's not to Louisiana. You can get it in Texas, Beaumont." And then when my stepmother, because my mother died 41 years ago at age 36. Anyway, so my stepmother, she was in Beaumont years ago. And I said, "Could you buy me a bottle?" I gave her the money. I said, "I'll pay you the money." Well, she knows I'm going to pay her. Of the Jack Daniel's Green. She said, "Yeah." So she called me back. She said, I found a bottle. I said, "Okay, I'm going to pay you." So they brought it back. And she said, "Oh, yeah, don't pay me." I said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, it's fine." I said, "No, I'm going to pay you the money." She said, "No." She wouldn't take the money. So I said, "Okay." And she bought a liter, a liter of the Jack Daniel's Green Label in Beaumont, Texas. But she could have bought it in Orange, which is the first town you get to when you cross into Texas. The first town you see is Orange. But she was going to Beaumont, so she got that liter bottle for $24.99. Believe it or not, $24.99 for that liter. And I taste challenge. I taste challenged that for years, but it finally dissipated. Okay, last comments. I think you'll like the Jack Daniel's Green Label, Tom. It's pretty nice. It's not amazing, but that's why they don't put it on the website. They don't even want to acknowledge it. Now, Jeffrey Lyons, New England Beer Reviews, y'all better pay attention. New England Beer Reviews, NEBR. He does a lot of whiskeys, though, too, honestly. He says, I know I have had the Ezra Brooks. I'm not certain about Evan Williams. Now, but remember, Jeff, the funny thing about it is Ezra Brooks, this is a 10-year-old bottle. So this is the 40% alcohol, 80 proof. Sometime within the last 10 years, they jumped it to 90 proof. Okay. And then within even later, even more recently in the last 10 years, they jumped it to 99 proof. Because if I go to Walmart tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., they have the 99 proof. Now, is the 99 proof better? Well, that would depend on the consumer, because some people, like myself, prefer 80 proof. Some people prefer 90, and some want to go up higher to 99. It's probably the same mash bill. I would I would put money on that. It's the same mash bill. They just probably add this much water, not as much water, and even less water. But that's what they wanted to do. So, do I plan to buy the other variants? Well, yes, I would like to buy the other variants, but that would be working under the assumption that after I get through all the other bourbons I have, which is an incredible and even you could say worrisome amount, then I would try new products. Because if you come here and you see all these bourbons, you would say, uh, is there a problem here? I would say, yeah, there's a problem. I've got too many bourbons and I don't have enough time to review them. That would be the problem. But anyway, wanted to adjust the air conditioner unit. Use the AC a lot in Louisiana. The furnace, the heater, as we call it in Louisiana, but in northern states they call it a furnace. Gas. I use natural gas. No, I don't use that much. Maybe 5 times a year. And actually, 6 years ago when my air conditioner was going out, the guy said I could repair it, but it's better just to get a new one. The furnace was still good. He could have ran that for 20 more years. But he's like, well, they come as a set, and it's like a big complicated thing. And I think he was honest, But he used to be a student in my class. He said, "You remember I used to be a student in your class years ago?" I didn't really remember because I only remember the ones that would cause trouble, Either the ones that cause trouble or the ones that would like make straight A's and go to university and get a free scholarship. But the people that just sit there and do their work, not make trouble, it's hard to remember them, because they don't stand out. Like these two products. Oh yeah, okay. I remember. I recalled the name from having to do the absentee list, but he was like, "Yeah, you may as well just replace it," even though he might have gone and sold it to somebody who needed a furnace real bad, But like I say, I only use mine like 5 times a year. 5 times a year. But the air conditioner, you run that half the year, and then he'll break down, stop working, then you got to buy a new one. It's just wear and tear. It's just not going to keep running. Although mine is made in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. Louisiana whiskey reviews. I know it's hard to lose someone at a young age. Yeah, well, very bad because my mother died at 36 years old on my birthday, 16th birthday. And everybody was like, oh. And I have an aunt, a great aunt. She was kind of loony, in the head. She couldn't help it because she was kind of crazy, but she was like, oh, I'm sorry your mother died on your birthday. I bet you're going to remember that every time you have a birthday, you're going to remember how your mother died on your birthday. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why people say you have mental problems. I didn't tell her anything. I'm just like, okay, that's kind of par for the course. And then my grandmother comes charging into the conversation. She's like, how could you tell somebody that? How could you tell a child that? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, Mama, I'm telling my grandmother, she ain't right in the head, She meant to say I'm sorry it happened, but she don't know what she's saying, So I felt sorry, because I knew the lady, she don't know what she's saying, It's like she's trying to say I'm sorry, but it's coming out like Ha ha ha. But she was not right, But anyway, I don't take offense to stuff like that, especially when people are not right in the head. Good to know. Thanks. You should show us a photo of your bourbon shelf, says Jeffrey Lyons. I would be embarrassed to show that photo because then I would think people would try to do an intervention on me or something. Gulf Coast heat is brutal. It is brutal, especially with the humidity. It's unreal. But I know it's reality because I experience it every day. And I got to mow the lawn tomorrow, sipping on an ice cold Budweiser Chelada. Budweiser Chelada or Bud Light Chelada? Doesn't much matter. It says John Mallory. Okay, good. So, well, I'm sorry I started off 0-2. That's, well, very irritating, but I did say this when I did the solo review. I did say that. You can go back and check me. I said it's kind of regular, It's just like regular old American bourbon, which is very good, by the way. If you take regular old American bourbon, any brand, I think the worst score you'll get is a B. I don't think you'll get a B minus. I don't think you'll get a B minus. I think you'll get a B, and it can go up. But it's the up part that makes people interested. It's not the regular. But I bought them. It's what I bought. So I have probably 10 more coming up. Yeah, I think that's about right. About 10 more. So could I possibly finish 10 wins, 2 losses? It's possible. It's highly unlikely. I would be shocked if I got it above 50-50, honestly. I'm getting so sleepy. That's what happens when you wake up at 1:24 a.m. 1:24. You say, why would a person do that? Well, I wanted to watch all the baseball highlights, and it was like 14 games to watch, so it took a while. All right, well, y'all take care, and I'll try to do better tomorrow with Ezra Brooks versus Elijah Craig. Oh, not Elijah Craig. What am I talking about? That's all gone. The Evan Williams 1783, the USA American Heroes Edition. Oh yeah, no way I'm getting that confused with Ezra Brooks. Not possible. Cannot happen. So yeah, tomorrow you'll see a win. I'm going to do Ezra Brooks versus Evan Williams 1783 American Heroes Edition from 2 years ago. No way. Impossible. Ezra Brooks has no chance. That Evan Williams is a 90 proof. It's aged like 6 to 8 years. No way. No way that's happening. All right, so I feel very confident for tomorrow. And then I'll be bringing in the, yeah, maybe I don't feel confident. All right, well, at least for that one tomorrow. All right, y'all take care, and see ya at the break of dawn or even before for tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.